Let me tell you something eternal, something ancient and true. Your imagination is not a fantasy. It is God in action. It is the creative power of the universe, wearing the mask of your mind, moving through you as thought, as desire, as vision. We have been told, be still and know that I am God. But where is God found? Not in the clouds, not in some distant heaven. God is within you as your own wonderful human imagination. Every time you dare to dream, you are invoking divinity. Every time you imagine a better life, a healed body, a restored heart, you are setting God in motion. You see it now. This power is not outside of you. It is you. You don't beg it. You don't chase it. You embody it. Neville taught, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Feel it real. Live in the end. Don't wait for the outer world to change. Change your inner world, and the outer must follow. It is law. Because consciousness is the only reality. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. What you feel, what you assume, what you live in becomes flesh. So close your eyes tonight. And don't just wish. Enter the state. Feel the warmth of the answered prayer. Taste the joy of your fulfilled desire. Rest in the knowing that it is done. For you are not powerless. You are the operant power. And your imagination, when disciplined and believed, is God creating through you. And now I ask you, what will you dare to imagine today? Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Will you rise up and claim the power that was always yours? Will you choose love over fear, abundance over lack, faith over doubt? Speak the word within. Feel the truth of your desire. Live in the end. Because your imagination is not playing games. It is shaping your world. And God is the dreamer in you, waiting for you to awaken. Wake up. Imagine boldly. And live as though it is already so. Imagination is not a fleeting daydream, not idle fantasy or escapism. Imagination is creation itself. It is the unseen root of all visible things. Before there was form, there was thought. Before the world was made, it was imagined. Neville Goddard teaches us that imagination is God in action, not a metaphor, but a spiritual fact. The very power that created the heavens and the earth now lies within us, not dormant, but active, waiting for direction, waiting for vision, waiting for belief. This is a radical truth. It means you are not a spectator in life. You are a creator, not a little creator, not a partial one, but a full participant in the divine process. When you imagine something clearly, emotionally, and consistently, you are doing exactly what God did in the beginning, declaring, let there be, and trusting it to be so. Imagination precedes manifestation. Every circumstance, every person, every opportunity in your life began in consciousness. Look around you. This is the harvest of your inner conversations, your inner assumptions, your beliefs, fears, and visions. The outer world is the mirror. The inner world is the cause. What we often call reality is nothing more than imagination hardened into fact. Your job is not to wrestle with the facts, but to reshape your inner world. The world does not respond to what you wish. It responds to what you imagine and accept as true. Goddard said, man is all imagination. God is man and exists in us, and we in him. The eternal body of man is the imagination, and that is God himself. That's not poetry. It's the blueprint of your being. You have imagined everything into being, whether you realize it or not. The relationships you attract, the money you earn or don't earn, the love you receive, the health you experience, all of these spring from the seeds you planted in imagination. No outer change is possible without an inner shift first. That is why so many chase new jobs, new partners, new locations, and still find themselves in the same cycles. They moved in the world, but they never moved within. The awaken is to realize that imagination is the master key. It's not bound by logic, time, or physical limitations. The moment you imagine something vividly and believe in it, you begin to align with its reality. You are no longer hoping for a miracle. You become the miracle. This power does not work through force or striving. It works through assumption and feeling. Feel as though your desire is already fulfilled. See yourself as you want to be. Walk in the state of the answer, not the question. The moment you imagine something and remain loyal to that vision, the universe begins to bend, shape, and reorganize itself around your assumption. What you imagine with faith and persistence becomes inevitable. There is nothing more holy, more sacred, or more powerful than your imagination. It is the divine in motion. It is the sculptor of your life. To imagine is to invoke God. To imagine with love, with clarity, with confidence. That is prayer. That is creation. That is you in your highest, truest form. So when you close your eyes, know that you are stepping into the sacred workshop of God. Every mental picture is a seed. Every feeling is water. Every repetition is sunlight. Tend to it with care, and your world will bloom. You don't need permission. You are already the author. You are already the vessel of power. You are already imagining, and therefore you are already creating. Consciousness is the only reality. This is not merely a spiritual idea. It is the foundation of Neville Goddard's entire teaching. Everything you experience, everything you see, touch, hear, or believe to be real is only the outpicturing of your inner state. The world you encounter is a mirror, faithfully reflecting back your dominant assumptions, beliefs, and feelings. There is no objective world out there independent of your consciousness. The world arises from within you, shaped and colored by the thoughts you consistently dwell upon. This means your inner world is not separate from the outer. It is the outer simply turned inside out. If you want to change your life, you do not start with the circumstances. You do not try to manipulate people or force situations to bend to your will. You begin by changing your state of consciousness. You begin by going within, because that is where all change begins. As within, so without. As above, so below. Everything is a reflection. Many of us are trapped in the illusion of cause and effect. We believe that something must happen out there before we can feel differently in here. We wait for good news before we feel relief, for success before we feel worthy, for love before we feel lovable. But this is backward. It is not the outer that changes the inner. It is the inner that determines the outer. You feel rich, and then wealth comes. You feel loved, and then love appears. You feel healed, and the body begins to respond. Neville said, change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. This is not abstract theory. It is law. What you accept as true in your own mind, you give life to in the world. If you believe you are unlucky, unnoticed, or unloved, you will meet experiences to confirm those beliefs, not because they are true in some fixed reality, but because your consciousness is always creating the evidence to match itself. You are never experiencing life itself. You're experiencing your relationship to life, your assumptions about it, your projections upon it. When you begin to take this truth seriously, you stop blaming the world and start taking responsibility for it. You realize that every undesirable condition, every delay, every closed door is not an enemy, but a reflection, an invitation to examine your own state. If the world is showing you lack, ask yourself where in your own mind you are entertaining thoughts of limitation. If others treat you with disrespect, ask yourself how you've been regarding your own worth. And if opportunities seem far away, ask what assumptions you've been repeating about what is possible for you. This awareness is not about guilt, it's about power. It means you are never at the mercy of outer facts. No matter how fixed a situation appears, it is only the shadow of a previous state. It is old news. The present moment is your point of power. The moment you shift your inner state, the world must eventually rearrange itself to match the new you. That's not magic, that's law, the law of consciousness. This is why Neville spoke so often about living in the end. Don't wait for the facts to change. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Dwell in the state you desire to manifest, not once, but consistently. You must inhabit the reality you want inwardly until it becomes natural, until it becomes your new identity. You must become the thing you seek, and then the world, which is only your consciousness expressed, will move to confirm it. What you see is who you are. The world is not happening to you, it is coming from you, not from the ego or surface thoughts, but from the deep currents of your self-concept. Change those, and you change everything. Because consciousness is not a part of reality, it is the only reality. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. These words, simple and profound, are the heart of Neville Goddard's teaching. They hold within them the entire mystery of manifestation, the secret of changing your life, not by effort or struggle, but by assumption. You are not here to wait for life to give you permission. You are here to feel your desire into being. And the bridge between desire and fulfillment is the feeling, the emotional acceptance that it is already done. This is not pretending. This is not faking. It is a deep inner conviction, a knowing that transcends evidence and logic. When Neville said to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, he meant that you must inwardly occupy the state of your answered prayer. You must feel it real. You must walk in the consciousness of already having, already being, already living the life you long for. Not one day, not someday, but now. The truth is, you are always assuming something. Every second of the day, you are imagining a version of yourself and the world, and you are reacting emotionally to it. Most people assume the worst. They assume delay, difficulty, rejection, lack, and then they live out those assumptions as if they were fate. But fate is nothing more than assumption solidified. What you feel deeply and consistently becomes the track upon which your life moves. Neville often said, it is not what you want that you attract what you believe yourself to be. You can want a new job, a loving partner, financial abundance, but if you continue to feel unworthy, alone, or anxious, you are assuming the opposite of your wish. And the law of consciousness will not respond to your wish, it responds to your assumption. That is why feeling is the key. Thought alone is not enough. You may think 1,000 things in a day, but it is the emotional acceptance of something as true that imprints it on the subconscious mind. The subconscious doesn't know the difference between fact and imagination. It only responds to what you feel to be real. So the most powerful thing you can do is to enter the feeling tone of the end result, not the journey to it, not the struggle toward it, but the actual experience of having it, being it, living it. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what would I feel if this were already true? Not how would I get there, not who would make it happen, but how would I feel if it were already mine? That feeling is the doorway. That feeling is your creative power. When you assume it, even for a moment, you begin to shift your entire reality. You send a signal to the unseen, and life begins to respond. The right people show up. The right ideas occur. Circumstances bend. The outer world begins to mold itself to match the state you now dwell in. You do not have to fight for your dream. You do not have to prove yourself or convince anyone. You only have to assume it. This inner act, performed with sincerity and repetition, will produce results beyond what effort alone ever could. Because you are not using force, you are using law. Every moment is an invitation to shift. You can step out of the story of it's not here yet and step into the joy, the peace, the confidence of the wish fulfilled. This is how you plant seeds in the garden of your subconscious, not by force, but by assumption. Feel it real and persist in that feeling. No matter what the senses say, the world will catch up. It has no choice. The feeling you assume deeply and consistently must become your reality. Living in the end is the art of moving beyond hope and into certainty. It is not about waiting for your desire to appear. It is about becoming the version of yourself who already has it. Neville Goddard taught that creation is finished. Everything you could ever desire already exists in the eternal imagination of God. And your task is not to create it, but to align yourself with it. You do that by living in the end, by occupying mentally and emotionally the state of your fulfilled desire as if it were already your present reality. To live in the end is to make the outcome your dwelling place. It is to no longer identify with the seeker, the struggler, or the one who is still trying. It is to shift into the knowing that what you desire is already yours. And from that place, everything changes. Not because the world has changed yet, but because you have. Your thoughts change. The world, being only a reflection of you, has no choice but to rearrange itself to match the new state you now occupy. People often live in the middle. They say they want abundance, but they focus on their bills. They long for love, but they dwell on loneliness. They desire health, but they obsess over symptoms. Living in the middle is imagining the process, the effort, the delay, the uncertainty. But the law of consciousness doesn't respond to effort, it responds to identity. Who are you being in imagination? Are you being the version of you who already has it, or are you still being the one who lacks it? Neville made it clear. The only true prayer is thanksgiving. To be thankful is to say, it is done. When you feel gratitude for something not yet seen, you are declaring it real in consciousness. You are stepping into the end, and this is not about fantasy. It is about causation. The world around you is always being shaped by the state you occupy. Living in the end means you no longer dwell in the problem. You dwell in the solution. You don't imagine getting there, you imagine already being there. This is why Neville urged his students to construct scenes that imply their wishes fulfilled, to imagine a friend congratulating you, to feel the weight of the engagement ring on your hand, to hear the applause of the crowd. These imaginal acts are not just mental pictures, they are emotional states. They carry the vibration of the end result, and the more real you make them within, the more inevitable they become without. Living in the end is not about denying present circumstances. It is about refusing to be defined by them. You do not ignore reality, you transcend it. You accept that outer conditions are old reflections, and you look instead to the new state you have chosen within. And the moment you choose it, persist in it, and refuse to abandon it, your world begins to reflect it, slowly at first, then all at once. You must dare to mentally live the life you desire before a single thing has changed. You must walk by faith and not by sight. That is the great challenge and the great power of this teaching, to see with the inner eye when nothing in the outer world agrees with you yet. But that is the test. Will you remain faithful to your vision? Will you live in the end, even when everything around you says it's impossible? Because if you do, if you fully commit to that inner state, it must come to pass. The law is unbreakable. What you feel yourself to be in imagination, you become in the world. The end is the seed, and when you live in it, you are watering it with certainty. And what is planted in imagination must blossom in time. Faith is loyalty to the unseen. It is the quiet, unwavering conviction that what you have imagined is more real than what your senses report. It is not blind belief, nor wishful thinking. It is inner certainty. Faith is standing in the invisible and calling it done. Neville Goddard often said that faith is not something you try to have. It is something you become. It is a state of being where you no longer question if your desire will come. You know it already has, even if no evidence yet exists. We have been trained to believe only in what we can see, touch, measure, and prove. But spiritual law does not operate through physical evidence. It begins with consciousness. The unseen world is the source. The visible is the echo. Faith means being loyal to that source, loyal to your imagination, even when reality screams the opposite. It is holding your vision steady in the silence before the manifestation appears. It is being true to your assumption, even when the outer world seems unchanged. The moment you imagine something and accept it as true in your heart, a new timeline begins to unfold. You have shifted your state of being. But most people waver. They check the outer world too soon. They pray or imagine something once and then look around for signs, and when nothing appears right away, they become discouraged. They say it's not working, but this is not faith. Faith doesn't need proof. Faith is the proof. Neville taught that the only way to create anything is to enter the feeling of the wish fulfilled and remain faithful to it, to persist, to assume that what you have imagined is already yours, and to walk through life in that conviction, even if the world tries to contradict it. That is what it means to be loyal to the unseen. Faith is not passive. It is dynamic. It takes courage to look beyond what is and believe in what can be. It takes inner strength to feel abundance while your bank account is empty, to feel health while your body is aching, to feel love while you are alone. But that is the creative act. That is where transformation begins. Not in the facts, but in the feeling. And when you have faith, you don't need to manipulate or force outcomes. You don't need to control people or chase opportunities. You live from the state of already being what you desire and let life mirror that back to you. And it will. Always. Because the law is perfect. Your outer world is a perfect reflection of your inner world. Faith keeps you anchored in the truth of what you've imagined, no matter how long the outer manifestation takes. Faith is also trust in divine timing. Not everything appears instantly. Some things must unfold through a series of events, through bridges of incidents, through the natural flow of time. But if you remain loyal to your inner vision, those events will come. They must. What you claim in imagination becomes a seed. And if you remain faithful to that seed, the harvest is inevitable. This is why Neville said, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is not a mental effort. It is a spiritual alignment. You align yourself with the end result and refuse to waver. You let the unseen become more real than the seen, because you know that consciousness creates reality, not the other way around. To live in faith is to walk through this world with quiet power, knowing that what you have felt in imagination is already yours. You don't need signs, and you don't need proof. You are the proof. Your loyalty to the unseen is what makes the seen possible. Everyone is yourself pushed out. These words are among the most challenging and liberating teachings Neville Goddard ever offered. On the surface, they may seem mysterious, even difficult to accept. But when you truly understand them, they unlock a deep and transforming truth. The world you experience, especially the people in it, is not separate from your inner life. Every encounter, every relationship, every act of kindness or conflict is a reflection and echo of your own consciousness. There is no other in the absolute sense. There is only self made visible. This does not mean that other people do not exist. It means that your experience of them is shaped entirely by the assumptions, beliefs, and feelings you carry within yourself. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are conscious of being. The people who show up in your life reflect your dominant beliefs about yourself, about others, and about how the world treats you. They are mirrors showing you what you truly believe, not just on the surface, but in the deep, often hidden corners of your mind. If you believe the world is hostile, you will meet antagonists. If you believe people can't be trusted, you will find betrayal. If you believe you are unworthy, you will attract indifference. Not because those people are inherently so, but because they are playing the roles your consciousness has written for them. You are the author, the director, and the casting agent of your world. Others appear to fulfill the script you have given them through your inner conversations and assumptions. But the beauty of this teaching is that it goes both ways. If you assume love, you will meet love. If you assume others respect you, you will be treated with respect. If you see yourself as valued, appreciated, cherished, you will experience that through the words and actions of those around you. Change your self-concept, and the entire cast of your life changes with it. Some people will shift before your eyes. Others may fade away. New ones will appear, all in perfect correspondence with who you now believe yourself to be. This is why Neville insisted that all transformation begins with self. You do not change the world by trying to change others. You change it by changing your thoughts and feelings about yourself. When you forgive yourself, you begin to see others as forgiven. When you become more loving inside, people seem kinder. When you see yourself as worthy, you no longer attract those who make you feel small. The world reflects your inner state with divine accuracy. This understanding removes the need for blame. If someone in your life is showing up in a painful or frustrating way, the question is not, why are they like this? But what within me is being reflected here? This is not about guilt, it is about power. Because if it's coming from you, you can change it. You are not a victim of others. You are the projector, not the screen. You don't have to fix anyone. You only have to revise the belief that drew them in. So begin to notice your reactions, your judgments, your assumptions. See how quickly the world responds to a shift within you. Test it. Assume someone will treat you kindly and watch it unfold. Imagine someone apologizing and observe how life arranges itself. You begin to see that nothing is happening to you. Everything is happening through you. The world is not separate from your inner world. It is the stage upon which your inner state plays out in form. Everyone is yourself pushed out. Every encounter is an invitation to see yourself more clearly. And every moment is an opportunity to rewrite the story, to revise the self, to remember that all is one, and that one is you. So now, beloved, you know. You are not a victim of the world. You are its cause. You are not waiting for change. You are the change. The power that shapes galaxies and lifts oceans lies in you. Breathing is your imagination, speaking through your feelings, acting through your assumptions. The world around you is not fixed. It is soft clay in the hands of your inner world. It bends, it moves, it yields, always to the vision you hold, to the state you inhabit, to the truth you dare to assume. So here is the call. Dare to imagine boldly. Dare to feel your dream as if it were already done. Dare to walk through life as the person who already is, already has, already knows. Close your eyes tonight, not in worry, but in wonder. Let your last thoughts be the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Let your breath carry peace. Let your body rest in faith. Fall asleep, not as someone hoping, but as someone being. Stop telling the old story. Stop rehearsing the problem. Stop worshiping facts. You are not here to repeat. You are here to create. And when doubt comes, and it will, return to your inner sanctuary. Return to the end. Return to the feeling. Return to the knowing that all things are possible when you believe from the inside out. This is not about force. It is about trust. It is about alignment. It is about claiming the power that has always been yours. You were never small. You were never without power. You simply forgot. So remember now, lift your head. See with the eyes of faith. Feel with the heart of one who knows the truth. You are the dreamer and the dream, the spark and the flame, the seed and the bloom. Your imagination is God in action. And now is the time to act. Not by striving, but by assuming. Not by waiting, but by being. Choose a state, feel the wish fulfilled. Live in the end. And let the world rise to meet you.